Hello and welcome. I am Maestra Teacher and this is my 5th grade Oasis channel. I've been a teacher for more than 20 years. I've taught gen ed and bilingual classes as well. In today's video, I would like to share with you some information on how you can better teach summarizing to 5th graders. If you are a new teacher or new to teaching 5th grade, know the summarizing is quite a hard one, a struggle kind of skill for 5th graders because it goes mostly against what we've been teaching them. When we are reading, you teach them to generate questions, to make predictions, you teach them, you give them background knowledge when you're going to read something, and then they can express their opinion about it. When I teach the students summarizing, I tell them that we have to make a long story short, basically, and only sticking to the author's key ideas and points. I also teach to the students that we summarize for fiction and we summarize for nonfiction. And then when we summarize for fiction, there are some strategies that you can use. And when you summarize nonfiction, there are other strategies that you can also use. Now I would like to share with you how I do my I do, we do, and you do teaching model, teaching summarizing. For the I do part of this lesson, remember that when you do the first part of your class, you always have to do direct and explicit teaching. This is the kind of presentation I use when I'm doing my direct and explicit teaching. I always begin by saying hello. I always begin also by reviewing the vocabulary of the week. And then I go ahead and talk about the concept of summarizing this week. I talk to them about what is to summarize fiction, nonfiction, what does that look like for each one of them. I also show them some anchor charts. This is the anchor charts in English or in Spanish related to summary. These anchor charts come with our series, but you can also create your own anchor charts and then you can display it in the classroom for further students to remind them what summarizing is. You can also play a video. There's plenty of videos and resources on YouTube related to summary. So you can watch a video to further, again, reinforce what you just taught them. What is summarizing and paraphrasing and retelling and also the differences among them. You kind of, again, directly teach what is the skill that they are going to be doing during that day or throughout the week. You also teach that you can summarize nonfiction text and that there's a way to do that. And you also teach them that you will summarize fiction text and there's also a way to do that. There's different strategies that can be applied to either of them. For the we do part of the lesson, this is the part where now you've done teaching them directly what is a summary and modeling for them. Now we're going to work on it together, you and the students. So there could be different ways you can do this. You can project another paragraph and start doing it together with the students. They can tell you what are the key ideas, they can underline them, you can annotate whatever the kids are telling you, and then you can write with them together. The first summary, you can do one fiction, one nonfiction, so they can see. You can also have them do it together as teams. They can work in groups or in pairs where you give them a paragraph, and together they can work it out and try to see how they can come up with a summary again. There are different types of graphic organizers that you can do with your students together, or they can work on them in teams, that they can create the summary where they can just write first. For example, if it's fiction, they can write a sentence related to what happened at the beginning of the story, that they can write a couple of sentences about what was important in the middle of the story, and then they can write a sentence on how the story ended, and then using what they already wrote, they can go ahead and write down the whole paragraph on summary of that specific fictional story. For the you do part of the lesson, this is the part where you already taught directly what is a summary. You already practiced with the students several times doing it together, what is fiction and nonfiction summaries. Then they're ready to practice it on their own. You can start again, give them a brand new short paragraph, passage, and then they can practice. You can give them the graphic organizer. You can decide first maybe to do the fiction one, and then the next day you can do a nonfiction one. But just start gradually increasing the size of the passage. Don't give them a big long passage right away, because they're learning for the first time, and again, they're 10-year-old minds. It's hard for them to grasp the concept of summarizing them. So they tend to write exactly what is there, so you have to be on the lookout for that, and reteach them again that you're not directly writing the same sentences there, you're rephrasing it in your own words, but keeping in mind that you're only talking about what this specific author said on the nonfiction passage, and if it's a fiction, you're only sticking to what happened in the story. And here is the example of what the students did on their own. We did this on September 11. I had them read an article related to September 11, and then they were supposed to, on their own, write the summary of the main events of what happened during that day, using the techniques and strategies I taught them on how to summarize nonfiction text. And then I gave them this paper. They read the article, they wrote down their summary on their own, and they color it. We also displayed this in the hallway. So we made a remembrance kind of exhibition for September 11. So not only did they practice writing a summary on their own, we also covered a social studies TIC, and we were able to show everyone our work. We also practiced summarization nonfiction when we were started with Hispanic Heritage Month. I assigned also each of the students a biography, so they were supposed to research information about one important Hispanic American, and then they summarized the information about them as well. So they practiced both ways, writing a summary for nonfiction. If you also teach other subjects such as social studies or science, you can also practice with them summarizing nonfiction tests using a passage related to social studies class or science. They can bring all the skills that they've already learned in the reading class and apply it when they're doing readings in science and social studies. And also remember that it's very important to expose the student on how these questions will appear on the state test. For example, this is from the reading practices that we have. I always, at the end of the week, give them a practice just like it's going to look like in the state test. For example, this is a nonfiction reading related to government and the 3 branches, and then we go over how the question is going to look like, the summarizing question. You go with them, you discuss it with them so they can see how these questions will be asked. Here you can also practice it in a specific paragraph way. And of course, you also have to show them another example of how it looks like if it's asked in a fiction story. Like with the story we had here, Neither Hide Nor Hair. This was a fiction story. We kind of glanced at it, we went over it, and then we discussed what is the best summary for it. So they have to be exposed on how this will be tested in the state test. Well, there you have it. That's how I teach my summary lesson to my 5th grade students. Please write down in the comments your opinion. Do you use another strategy that maybe you can share with me? I would love to hear from you. Like my video and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for your support, and I'll see you in the next one. See you soon.